So, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of content, so to speak, because I don't want to just be an updated. I want to just have a topic, different topic, because last week I've beat Amnesia Machine for Pigs, and I gotta say I'm really disappointed because it's not as scary. I'm a guy that you have to try hard, and I mean hard, to get me scared. Because when I think I started to play scary games too soon. I played Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare when I was 5, I think. And no, the classic like Resident Evil 3, Resident Evil 2. Yeah, I played really scary games when I was little. Watch scary movies when I was 6. So the part of my brain that get me scared, it's fried. Like a lot of people said, "Oh, I'm really scared of fear." I was like, "What? Why?" Or Fatal Frame, like the only Fatal Frame game that actually got me a little creeped out was 1 because of the design of the ghosts. And I'm really that hard guy to get scared. So, in Amnesia Machine for Pigs, I didn't get scared once, which is a really disappointment because Amnesia: The Dark Descent, it's the only goddamn game that can actually frighten me. And yes, I played Outcast, and yes, I get a little bit scared, but like really frightened, The Dark Descent is the only one. I thought Machine for Pigs is going to get me again like Dark Descent did, but it didn't. It was a really disappointment on this scary part, which a lot of people have complained about that, like Markiplier. I actually am a subscriber for Markiplier. The guy does really good videos. I'm just, for the heck of it, just I mentioned him. I'm gonna put his link in the description right down there for his first part of his Let's Play of Amnesia. So, getting back to topic. The other things I liked was the setting, the soundtrack. I love the soundtrack on this. And the story is really interesting. But okay, this is gonna be spoiler heavy on the part of the story. But here I'm just going to wrap up the quick gameplay. So, the inventory is gone. You got no inventory, so no combination of items, no nothing. Like tinder boxes are gone, oil for your lamp is gone, and unfortunately also your insanity. Yes, Amnesia Machine for Pigs doesn't have an insanity effect. That is a bummer, because it was one of the best aspects of The Dark Descent. Now, because now the oil part in the tinder boxes I can get, I kinda get it, because you are in the more modern time than Dark Descent, so you have actually electricity, which is a good thing. because now your lamp doesn't go out. Does never go out. I was actually thinking to myself like, oh, probably I have to recharge her somewhere, but no, you can go the whole game with the lantern on. And this comes to play in the monsters. Something I want to get right out of the gate is the thing I was really scared about was the monster design, because from the title Machine for Pigs I was like, oh god, they're gonna put pigs. Jesus, like, man, pigs are cute. And I was thinking like, oh, the design of Dark Descent was really disturbing looking. But in Machine for Pigs, the design of the monsters are really poorly. I mean, it's a humanized pig. If I can't find the image, I'm going to put on the video. It's a humanized pig. I was looking at that didn't scare me. I was like, oh, I've seen this in many children cartoons I used to watch when I was little. It is not scary. They are kinda strange looking, but if you're not a person with fear of pigs, these things are not going to scare you on a design level. On a gameplay level, even less, because they're not hostile. I mean, they are hostile, but they don't feel a threat, because on the context of the game, they're not hunting you. Unlike the monsters from Dark Descent, they're not hunting you. They're working. You're just on their way, just that. Unless in Dark Descent you have the fear of being hunted. You have that feeling of being watched. Because the Gather were after you. They wanted to kill you. They wanted to stop you. As in here, the pigmen just are working, doing their mundane shit, and you just happen to be there. You're not going to feel threatened in any part of the game. None. And even something really interesting happens in like close to the end of the game, which I'm going to talk about later. But even there, you don't feel threat for the pigmen. Nothing. The other thing I like to note is the type of gameplay this time is everything you need, like back then keys, hammers, that type of shit, it can be found on the level itself. Now I have to pick it up, hold it, and run to wherever you need that item. To open the door, to turn the machine on, whatever. It's on the level itself. So that is a bummer too, because now you're not going to get lost in the level. Because remember, when you get lost in Dark Descent, is because you have to get this really specific item and you don't know where the fuck it is. And the design of Amnesia Dark Descent was actually that good because everything looked the same. I know a lot of people complain about that, but I really found really good for the aspect of getting lost, because everything looked the same. It's funny because nobody complained that about like Slenderman. It's like trees everywhere, it looked the same. But when something looked the same and the guy do on purpose, is because he wants you to get lost. And you did get lost in Dark Descent. Here, you don't. It's straightforward. You're not going to wander around that much. The game is easy this time. It's really, really linear because they decided to dump the lost gameplay for storytelling. And they didn't do that great of a job on the storytelling too. But I'm going to talk about later. So to wrap up here for people that actually want to play the game, people that actually going to watch this audio log for a reason and want to play the game, give it a try. It's not that bad of a game. I know I'm pretty much pushing down the game, but really, trust me, it earns at least one playthrough. It earns that. It's a really well done game, but comparing with Amnesia, it's really disappointing. On its own, it's a really well done game. It's a really good game. I'm gonna have a really fun time going through and trying to, because the story has this really interesting thing that keeps you wanting to know, and it's going to be the only reason why you're gonna play the game. So, if you really want to pick up the game, just pick it up. Don't worry about it. It's a fun time. Don't expect to get that scared, alright? Because you won't. You really won't. A few people will. People that have fear of pigs. But besides that, none of you will. So I really recommend you at least play once of this game. And before you ask, what about Outlast? Yes, play Outlast too. It's creepier than Amnesia Machine for Pigs. Probably get more scared in Outlast. Yes, play the both of them if you can. Play the both. They are really well done horror games that come out now. This year, I mean. So, spoiler time. This part, I'm going to talk about some topics, some things from the story, not the whole thing. I don't really want this video to get really, really goddamn long. So, it's just some topics I wanted to talk about for people that already play the game. And for you to decide to stay for some reason, I'm going to try to explain what's have been going on without passing through every single goddamn thing that happens. So, for you guys that don't know, this time you play as Mendes, or as Mundus, like the Devil May Cry boss. It'll be interesting, but no. The guy is like every single goddamn Amnesia game. Amnesia story, sorry about that, Amnesia story, he has amnesia. He wakes up, in his bed is a caged bed that the game don't explain like at all why the goddamn bed is caged. This is something this is one of the topics because I really was interested to know why the fuck is the bed caged. And I really didn't get that answer at all. I found nothing on the bed. Nothing on the bed. You wake up, you hear your sons playing hide and seek, and you go off to try to find them. And guys, if you want to put the mystery, if the childs of your main character are alive, don't do an ethereal sound effect with their voices, because you can tell right away that they're dead. They're dead. Doesn't give a shit, they're dead. and that kind of kills that mystery you wanted to set. And when you get after them, I was expecting to at least find a note or something on the bed, but no, didn't get anything. The caged bed does not get explained. If you know why, please put in the comments below, because I really wanted to know. Then you go after them. You go try to find your sons. And you get passed through a lot of hidden passages through the mansion. And it's a little bit of gameplay on that, a little bit of creepy stuff here and there, yada yada yada. You actually go outside, and I was like, wait, is this right? You're actually going outside? Because in Dark Descent, the whole game passed through this one manor, this one really big place. As you go further down, it's kind of like Resident Evil 1. When you only get on the mansion, walk around the mansion and descend. And in Amnesia Machine for Pigs, it's kind of like Resident Evil 2. You get to go outside. It's not like you get to go around a lot of places, but you can go outside sometimes. It's really interesting because you feel more connected with the world, at least on my opinion. So you start to run around and the pigmen start to show up, and it's really, and I gotta say, it's really well done. The first minutes of the pigmen, I was like, holy shit, this is really well directed. I wasn't scared, but I really saw potential on that, because that was really well done. Because you start only hear noises, and you get to this part when you're inside a factory, that you see him passing through a walkway on top of you, and you only see his shadow passing by. That was really well done. It scared a lot of people. And after that, you begin to descend when you find the entrance on the church, to go underground and actually find the pipes that connect to the machine. And this is where you're going to pass a lot of times on the game, underground, dealing with the machine, because when you get there, the machine is actually being sabotage for someone. And you actually got contact in the beginning of the game from the engineer, a guy that knows where your sons are, and it's going to help you only if you fix the machine. So this is where you're going to start to fix the machine. You go every single place going to fix the machine. And actually, there's a part in the game that I felt was the best part of the game, when you get to the nest of the pigmen. That segment was really freaky, and this is a word that can describe Machine for Pigs: bizarre. Because the game is bizarre, the story is bizarre, the place is bizarre. This segment is really bizarre, because you just see them act normal, just running around, eating on a goddamn really fancy table, and actually hearing music, listening music. And I was thinking to myself, okay, what the fuck is going on? It was not the only part, but I say what the fuck, because this is a word you're going to say a lot in this game for really not that good of reason. And you pass it through that to the nest, you see the rooms, and some are sleeping, you see them playing with blocks, you see one of them crying, one of them is caged up, and you got this really interesting note that says that they memento, I think, not a note, I think this is a momentum, that Mandas say strange they act childlike. And I was thinking to myself, because furthermore, I don't know if this is true, so don't use this as actual evidence, but what I could get was they were made out of children. Because later on in the game you find out that Mandas used to pick up children from the streets and actually work cleaning the machine, and some of them would die. And he said, in later notes said, what's the worry? I think it was this, what's the worry? I ended up feeding them to the pigs anyway. I think that can translate to I'm actually gonna feed them to make them into pigs, because it actually said on a note that you find later or before that he needed a more effective worker, and this was actually it, because you see the pigmen's actually really, what's the word, hatched together. And I think this is why. I think why they act childlike, really juvenile acts, the actions that they do, is because they're actually not whole made of children, but like the brain is actually a child's brain. But if you know the answer, please put on the comments below. I'm actually going to try to play the game again and try to find in every single corner an answer to these things, because I didn't get none on my first playthrough. Nothing. I was paying really goddamn attention to the story. I was like lost. And after that, a lot of things happen, and you fix the machine, and you found out that the engineer is the machine, because Mandas have used an orb, in this case a red orb, to power the machine, and the orb ended up splitting his maniacal crazy scientist side from him and used as a AI for the machine. And now you have to undo what you did. You have to sabotage the machine again. But meanwhile, the machine actually releases the pigman on the city, because Mandas, when it was actually constructing, his idea for building the machine was because he received a vision from the orb, where I can kind of point out it was the first World War, because the game takes place in 1899, and he decided to build the machine to prevent, in the same fashion that Final Fantasy villains try to prevent things by killing everyone. Yeah, and actually not only Final Fantasy villains, but the goddamn fucking AI that just ruined my experience with Mass Effect 3, but that's a whole nother story for a whole nother goddamn fucking day that I'm really not looking forward to. But I'm going to do it, and I need to do it really need to do it. But that's for the future. And the machine released the pigment on London. Yes, for some amazing backwards reality. The whole machine runs through a really good portion of London. How the hell? I know the Mondas is wealthy and all, but how can he can construct this really big apparatus underground the city with no one arguing or even noticing that? That's really strange and not explained at all. Like every goddamn fucking topic I speak about. So, you actually go up and you go through the city and see the pigmen running around killing people and raping corpses, I think. Because there's this part where you see a pigman going back and forth behind boxes. You look at that really brow high up, and if you crouch down you can see underneath him a human hand. So I think he was raping a corpse, and it was really bizarre, but I was like, okay, this is the part where they're going to really have to pay attention because there's a lot of fucking pigmen. No. Again, I didn't feel threatened at all. The pigmen you see throughout the city that was actually more closest to you were behind a bar, behind wood, and he didn't even break down the goddamn fucking wood. And one that tried to chase me to the end of the segment. And I was like, Jesus Christ. Okay, you disappointed me on the enemies. So you're going to disappoint me on the storytelling too? Well, kind of ish. Because you get to this elevator, to the other part of the machine, to what I guess the vital part of the machine, and you start to sabotage it. And you actually get a greeting from another type of pigman that is a electric pigman that I think is trapped between the two worlds because he disappears and reappears. And I was thinking, holy shit, this is gonna be a really huge problem. Nope, you just turn a switch on this room and go out through the door. Just that. And then he appears again in the glass labyrinth. But again, the design of the game is linear. You can get through that like, what, 10 seconds? And I was disappointed once more. When you actually ended up on the bottom of the machine, you see the orb. You turn on a lot of things and you get close to the orb, pick it up, and you are teleported to the, and I'm not kidding, an Aztec temple. There's a temple underneath London. How did it get there? They were constructed there. Guess what? The game don't explain. It's actually kind of foreshadowing because you see a lot of models of the temple throughout the game. But the more important thing, it's not explained. You get teleported to this room where you see a tube, a metal tube with a corpse or a doppelganger of Mundus inside it. That's supposed to represent the engineer. Then you go up the stairs to the temple, and I was like, okay, you're going to wrap it up everything on the end, right? Because you get to the room where your two sons, where the sons of Mandas are impaled on the machine. I was thinking like they were actually the life support of the machine. And that was really strange and bizarre looking. I was actually kind of ill. Foremost because an important person to me is actually getting a baby. And this theme of children bother me a really ton because my mind is really imagined kind of really strange things sometimes, and this theme of children was like, oh no, please no. And you see these kids impaled in this machine. I was like, ah, jeez. But you go to the center, you press a button, Mandas is trapped, and this little robotic arms goes in front of Mandas, and I was like, oh, you're gonna get impaled by those things, right? And he does. And I was like, okay, what now? He monologues, boom, credits. And that pissed me off a lot because it was like, okay, what? You're not going to explain the temple? You're not going to explain what the actually machine does, because the pigman was something I forgot to tell. The pigman was on the city picking people and feeding them to the machine. I was like, okay, what the fuck the machine do? It's never explained. Never explained. I was like, what? You don't explain a really vital goddamn point of the whole game? The device that is actually a crucial plot point? You're not gonna explain it. Nope. Man's getting impaled by the arms. He monologues. Credits. And I really gonna now force myself to play the game the second time if I want to. I don't really feeling like. Actually, now remembering the ending of the game, I'm really, really, really sad. But nothing is explained. The caged bed isn't explained. The temple underneath the city is not explained. What the fucking machine do? It's not explained. What really, actually, what your sons are doing impaled in the machine, it's not explained. How the pigmen were created, it's not explained. They have a tip that actually kind of, it's not only the orb that connects Dark Descent to Machine of Pigs. There's actually a note that Mandas have dealt with together, and the pigs was actually a kind of ish prototype of a new gather he's trying to make to work on the machine, to fix it, to clean it, to, you know, basic stuff. And that's the only thing on the pigman that I could get, besides my theory to actually, you know, part of the kids on the goddamn things. And, well, that's pretty much it. The points that actually I want to talk about to you guys. So, put in the comments below what you thought of of the ending, what you thought, what is your theories on things, because I'm really interesting to talk to you guys about that. So I really hope that I didn't bore you guys to death right now, just talking about this stuff. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm really sorry episode 1 hasn't been released yet. I'm working on it, and I promise I will get it done this week. I will try my best to get it done this week. And well, thank you guys really much for watching, and I'm really sorry to a lot of people. I know I've been I'm sorry a lot of times, but I'm really sorry, really. And I hope to see you guys on the first episode of my show. So this is D saying farewell. I hope to see you when I'm actually going to tell you a tale about Titans. So farewell, my friend.